Hi, this is Adam Coster. I'm going to show you today how to make a biohazard symbol in Inkscape. If you're not familiar with Inkscape, it's a vector graphics program. But anyway, moving on to the topic at hand. So the biohazard symbol, for whatever reason, is one of the cooler looking symbols and more intimidating ones. And I needed to make one for a project, and it turned out to be easier than I thought. So I just thought I would share how to do that. So if you're not familiar with Inkscape, I'll make sure to explicitly say everything that I'm doing. So on the left-hand panel over here are most of your tools, and I'm only going to be using circles for this. And so click on the circle to select it, and then you can actually just make a circle anywhere in your canvas of any size. If you hold down Control and Shift while you're doing it, then the place that you clicked will stay the center. That's what the Shift does. And the Control makes it so that when you resize it, it'll keep a constant ratio, either 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 or whatever. And so this way we get a nice perfect circle. So I'm going to color that a little bit differently. Okay, so we now have our circle, and we essentially just need to make another version of the circle to kind of cut out a piece of this. And so what I'm going to do is hit Control D. Sorry, that was Control S. Control D to duplicate. It's just like copy paste the circle and shrink it a bit. And then again, doing that while holding down Control and Shift so it stays in the center and keeps a constant ratio. And now I'm going to hold down Control again and click and drag this thing. So that allows me to drag it straight up without it moving left and right. And this is too small, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Maybe like this. That's probably good. And so you want to kind of drag it up so it's off-center vertically, and just kind of starts to clip the top like this. Now the reason is that you want to basically create a crescent when you're done, and also the less it clips, kind of the skinnier it gets as it comes up here and actually looks sort of more intimidating. You want to make sure not to make it too thin on the outside, and you'll see why later, but it's so easy to do that it's an easy mistake to fix. Okay, so now that we have these two parts, we can use this circle to cut out that same area in this bigger circle down here. So to do that, click on this one, and then Shift, and click on the second one, so we've now selected both. Go up to the Path menu up here, and select Difference. And so what that will do is basically subtract the top path from the one on the bottom. And now you get this sort of characteristic crescent shape. So we're actually pretty close to the main shape already. We just need to duplicate this 3 times and then rotate it 120 degrees so that we basically make a kind of a triangle out of it. So the first thing is we need to change the rotational center. So when you click on an object in Inkscape, it'll give you the resizing menu. So that's what we've already been playing with, so you can grab those to resize it as much as you want. If you click a second time, you'll end up with rotational and skew handle. So a skew handle makes, does this kind of crazy thing. And the rotation handle does exactly what we'd expect. So notice this little target in here. This target shows you where the rotational center is going to be. So if you move this down here, some random place, then now it actually rotates around that point. So I hit Control Z to stop that. So now while you're moving this thing, again hold Control to make it only move vertically, like this. And you want to put it right at the bottom of this thing, so it's in the vertical center and on the bottom horizontally. Or maybe that's the other way around. In any case, then Control D to duplicate it. Click it twice so that you have the rotational handles, and just rotate it. If you hold down Control while you do this, then you'll move it in 15-degree increments, and so then it's really easy to make sure that you've moved it 120 degrees. I'm going to duplicate it again, and then rotate it. And now we actually already have the basic layout of what this thing is supposed to look like. So I'm going to go zoom in here a little bit, because we basically need to make a little kind of hole in the center of this, which we'll do with another circle. So come click on the circle tool again. And again, hold down Shift and Control to get a centered circle with a controlled proportion. And then you can just kind of manually click right in the middle there. There are ways to do that actually perfectly, but this is certainly good enough. And kind of make it, I don't know, it doesn't really matter how big it is, I guess, whatever size you want. Okay, now that we have that piece, we can stick these back pieces together, which I'm going to do like this. So if you can click and select all of them, and go back to your Path tool, and then click Union instead. And so now you can see we actually have sort of the outline of the basic biohazard symbol. Okay, so we have actually all the pieces we need, except that there's also a ring that kind of comes around the outside. And so to make that, since I already have this nice centered circle here, I'm just going to duplicate it, Control D again, make it bigger, and then you can hit page down or end to send it backwards, vertically, or sorry, in the Z direction. And so you can actually see how big it is. So I like to make it so it's pretty close to these edges out here. And it's actually not a disc. If you look at the symbol, it's a kind of it's a ring. And so I should do one more duplication. Make it a little smaller, again, kind of send it backwards so you can see where everything is. Make it as wide as you want. And now we can actually just kind of piece this thing together. So we can click this sort of middle circle, and then shift click the one outside of it, and go back to exclusion again. This now you can see we've made our ring. Click the inside circle and the shape out here. Do the same thing. And now you can see. Oh, I actually left a little piece in there. We can delete that. That's not a problem. So we basically have everything that we want. So we're going to come up here into this. So this is the path tool right here. This allows you to edit paths as you'd expect. So this, all these little points here are nodes in the path. So I can select all of these, just delete it, and now that problem was solved. That was because my shapes didn't overlap enough in the middle. Okay, so we're pretty close. At this point, you could select these two and go to path and then union, and that would make your final shape. A lot of the time, though, when you see this symbol, there's a sort of a gap in between this ring and the main kind of structure of the thing. And so I'm going to keep that here. And plus I can demonstrate kind of a fun way that Inkscape lets you do that. So I'm going to click on this main shape and duplicate it, Control D. And I'm going to change the color a little bit so we can actually, that's too much of a color change, I don't know. So we can actually see it a little bit and hit page down once. I think that was delete, page down. Oh, sorry, I'm not even selecting it. Okay, so now it's behind this top figure. So now if you go up to path and outset, you can see it got bigger, right? It essentially made an outline on the outside. Do that again. Path, outset. There we go. So now you can actually see it kind of crimping up with the edge. I'll change the color of the, actually just turn off the stroke. So the idea is we're going to use this sort of what this black outline is now to cut out this back part. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger yet, make another outset. That's probably good enough. So now if I click this, so this is this bigger one I made by taking the outset of the path, and then shift click this middle ring, then I can again go back to difference. And now you can see I've cut out these edges, and the contours are matching and everything else, and I now have the correct shape of this symbol. So you can select these two, and again do a path union to now make it one single path. And this allows you to change the color as much as you want, and the whole thing will change at the same time, and you now have a complete biohazard symbol. So you can see if you were to change the thickness of this thing, it would actually look pretty different, and if you changed the thickness of this outline and so on and so forth, you can make these look fairly different. If it's very skinny, then it looks, you know, more spidery and then kind of more intimidating in that way. But I guess that's it. So that's how to make a biohazard symbol in Inkscape.